Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Woo. Vinny Cuevas, yo. Vinny's views, yo. Yo. Came from humble beginnings to South Bronx, Vinny Cuevas, Puerto Rican descent with big dreams, a go-getter. Gotta know where you been, so you know where you going. Hustle hard is the motto, popularity's growing. He talk about them politics, healthcare issues, now we lit. Mets and Yankees, Nets and Knicks, Giants, Rangers, championships. Major views, conservative. Everybody got their own life to live. A closer look, like you're zooming in. I don't know about you, but I'll be tuning in to Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views, make sure you listening to Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views. Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views, make sure you listening to Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of Vinny's Views. On today's show, we'll be touching on Hollywood and the entertainment business. From all the sexual allegations that have been plaguing the industry, to the presumed, quote-unquote presumed, typecasting worries Latinos, or at least some Latinos, have in Hollywood. Well, before we get started, I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Fitzwell for his opening musical arrangement, and my producer and editor, Lou Capri, for just simplifying everything. This man's a genius. Thank you guys. You guys are great, man. Well, within the last month, sexual harassment has been overwhelming the airwaves. How do we interpret sexual harassment? Well, I can tell you how I interpret it. To me, it's just a bullying tactic of a sexual nature. It's an inappropriate approach to offer something gratifying in exchange for a sexual favor. As we all know, sexual harassment is illegal, at least on paper. It pretty much depends on how the law perceives the situation. Simply teasing and offhand comments usually go unnoticed. For instance, let's use the word sweetheart. Sounds simple enough and kind. Well, a good friend of mine, Mr. Hall, always reiterated to me, and I quote, "It's not what you say, it's how you say it," unquote. I can approach a coworker and say, "My sweetheart, how was your meeting?" Depends on my relationship with the person. She can take it as a term of endearment because of my approach and the subject we're dealing with, a meeting. Not to say that my approach is extremely appropriate. She might feel uncomfortable and ask me to refrain from calling her sweetheart, which automatically the next time I do so, I'll be disrespecting her request, which can lead to a pending sexual harassment. It's that simple, or that intricate, depending on how you want to portray this. So that's a preliminary to the comment I made. It had no sexual intent, it really didn't, but made her uncomfortable, in which she probably felt it wasn't being disrespectful, but it's not the choice of words she's comfortable with. So after that, my approach, the approach I have towards her, must be cautious and respectful, to her demands at least. It's not about how you felt you meant it, it's about how she took it. There's always ambiguity, I could have said, "Hey, sweetheart, how's your evening?" Now that's totally inappropriate. That can go from that comment straight to HR. Not so much with the sweetheart address, but inquiring about an intimate part of a day, which night most likely requires being comfortable, laying in bed, showering. It's a time of day where you feel the most relaxed, especially after a hard day's work. So, we must be conscious of the choice of words we use and who we use them towards. It's very delicate, it's sensitive, and sometimes us men take friendship for granted. Nowadays you could, some men, not me, but a woman smiles at a man, automatically he thinks she wants him. And that can lead to a lot of trouble, And as we all know, in the entertainment business, as we've been seeing, Hollywood has been hit with an overwhelming amount of not only harassment, but predatory behavior. It's been pretty disturbing to hear this. The details, especially when pedophilia is involved. I've been involved in the business in various capacities for many years. I've done my share of acting. I'm a screenwriter. and I've done tons of protection for numerous individuals in the business. I can hands-on tell you this has been going on for as long as I can remember. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of respectful, professionally driven people in the industry. But you have the usual suspects, the ones everybody warns you about. You know, I've witnessed both sides of the table. I've been in meetings with the most professional individuals in the industry, the ones that conduct business and go home to their families, and they keep everything at an even keel, making everybody comfortable. And I've also been in galas where drugs, alcohol, sex, and are the highlights of the night. Unfortunately, you know what? This is the actual norm, or has been in Hollywood and the entertainment business for a very long time. Now, where does this lead to? I'm going to refrain from using names because everyone out there should know by now who's on the hot seat and who's not. But when you let me put this together in a perspective. When you subject yourself to that part of the industry, you put yourself in a very vulnerable position. You know, especially at that time when it was a tight-knit circle where a flip of a lip can sink a ship and your career was over. That's where all the reluctance was. That's where all the women were reluctant. So some women, just didn't want to speak up. But it only takes one brave woman to divulge this disgusting behavior to create a domino effect. And that's what we're seeing right now. You know, if I had any advice I can give on this touchy subject, it would be if you feel you're being treated in an awkwardly sexual manner, speak up, and speak up fast. Because just like a car, it loses value once it leaves the shop. You know, your accusations should not be discredited. But the longer you wait, unfortunately, the more skepticism surrounds you. But you know what? There's nothing more informative than to get the insights from an actual victim herself. So without further ado, with us today, we have not only is she a friend of mine, but she's like a sister. You know, we've worked together, we've vented to one another, we've insulted each other, and we've done it all in a loving manner, and most importantly, with respect. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us today is my good friend and former radio colleague, Nicole Pacheco. What's going on, girl?
Hey. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Thank you for joining. I wish I had you under more humorous circumstances, but with all this going on, I figure who better than to send a message than you, my friend.
Oh, you know me in this mouth.
Well, you know what? You heard what I was talking about. So what's your take on sexual harassment? Have you been through this experience? Do you know people who've been through this? And to what level, what capacity, what degree, and what has taught you and your protection over your own daughters?
Well, first thing I want to address, you mentioned victim. I'm definitely not a victim. I'm a survivor. And I use that word survivor because I don't want to be seen as, oh, poor girl, oh, she went through this, that, and the other. That's the first thing. Okay. The second thing I want to say is, as a woman that has been sexually harassed at a workplace, at school, in the street, with catcalls, people trying to grab me, so on and so forth. I must say it's hard for women to come forward and say what happened because immediately you hear as a woman, oh, what did you do for that? Did you smile at them? Did you have a certain type of color on? Were your clothes too tight? Were you showing cleavage? Like automatically, if you are looking or feeling a certain type of way to someone, it's like an open door for harassment to start.
Correct.
And that's where it starts because I can only speak personally. Me, when I was first sexually harassed, it was in a school setting. I was very young. And a boy literally came from behind me and smacked my behind. Correct. I turned around and slapped him back in his face, but that was just a knee-jerk reaction. When the day was over, I went home and I cried my eyes out. I was embarrassed. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And did I report it? No. Still to this day, I never reported that. And by the way, I'm talking about junior high school.
Correct.
So I never said anything because I was just simply embarrassed. And then I don't want to be judged.
Correct.
And then when I got older, I went into working business. I went into the work field, and in going into the work field, you've seen me. I'm not an ugly person. I'm voluptuous, so Latina, so we have curves.
You're voluptuous, you are.
And the bottom line is, I've been harassed at work. My bosses, supervisors, co-workers, men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad part is that women think it's okay because it's woman to woman. I made it very clear. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to disrespect you, but I will not let you disrespect me. And then when it was a man, I was very clear on grabbing my phone and saying, can we record this conversation? Right. I never saw someone fall into their seat as quickly as that person did. I won't name names because that person has children himself, and they're all daughters. And Carm, I'm sure, has not been so nice to his daughters.
Unfortunately.
And let's go back to unfortunately, totally. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to the whole thing about the victim, actually the survivor. Rose McGowan had mentioned, had spoken out about a particular person. We all know who we're speaking about. Mm-hmm. And when she said it, I said, finally, somebody that says something. Look, I'm saying it to you right now, Vinny, and my hairs are sticking up. Yeah. It feels this moment of freedom, and at the same time, you're scared for her. Right. I'm scared for her in the sense of, look at what Twitter did to her. They shut her down.
They shamed her. Not only that, now they're using her cocaine, supposedly addiction, against her. So that's what I'm talking about, discrediting. Like, you get sexually harassed or assaulted, let's speak right away, Mm-hmm. Because now they're using certain...
It's easy to say that. Yeah. It's so... I'm sorry to cut you off,
I understand.
It's easy to say that, open your mouth and say something. Mm-hmm. If you haven't been in this situation, I've actually heard other women saying, oh, this happened so long ago. Why didn't you say something? My first question to the women that I've heard say that, I asked them, have you ever been harassed sexually, physically, mentally, anyway, in any way, shape, or form? Oh, yeah, I have. Okay. Did you ever report it? Not one of the 5 different women, and I'm talking about different races, different ages, not one of the 5 said anything. Oh, no, I let it go because of ...
Yeah.
And that's when I looked at them and said, okay, so then what makes a difference? Why is this woman wrong for finally saying something? This is where we need to stop it.
Yeah.
We always look at each other looking for a problem as opposed to looking at the problem, figuring out where we went wrong, and moving forward. We stay stuck on the problem.
Correct. Yeah, you're right about that.
I feel that if I had the courageousness to actually say something to my dean of schools back again, junior high school, this was many years ago, if I would have built the courage to say something, I don't know what would have happened to that guy. Mm-hmm. And, by the way, I don't know what would have happened to me.
Absolutely.
What if another student was in the room overhearing my conversation, and here we go. Here comes someone, Nicole said this, that, and the other. It gets spread around the school. Now I get discredited. Now I look like a whore, a slut, and God knows worse.
Unfortunately.
And he can walk around.
Yeah.
There's a saying that they say a man could walk around a block butt naked and be called a king. A woman does the same thing. She'll probably get raped, called the next day.
Double standard.
Double standard that needs to stop.
And you know what? Sexual harassment is devious. Is extremely disrespectful. I've been a victim of when I see a woman dressed a certain way. I'm like, you know what? They're being somewhat provocative. It's just instinctively you see somebody beautiful, with tons of cleavage and maybe have their buttocks sticking out. Automatically you're thinking she's asking, for some type of lewd comment. No, they're not asking. They're beautiful. They're flaunting it. You were born naked, for Christ's sake. And I've been a victim. But then I catch myself and I said, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't think that way. And, sometimes we also have to give ourselves respect as women because we already know the predators out there to begin with. So, you don't want to give them, you don't want to give them that extra inch. But sexual harassment...
Hold on, Vinny. Give them?
Well, the predators.
They have no right
the predators.
To say anything. Even if they are a predator, they still have no right
they
to
don't,
say
but they do.
That way.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, for example, if I walk around, I go to school now, and if I walk around, I have I'm sorry, I have big breasts, so my cleavage is always shown regardless to what I wear. Now,
Not
does that
intentional, I'm
mean
assuming.
that it's okay for someone to come to me and give me a comment?
No.
And
Not
that's
at
what I'm
all.
saying.
Not at all.
No one should have the right to ever say anything, especially in a derogatory manner, in a harassment manner.
No.
It doesn't make it okay. And this whole thing of locker room talk and boys will be boys type of bullcrap needs to go away.
But that will never. I mean, men amongst men are just gonna talk. No, we can't be. You can't be black. I've been at fault of that. Not in a disgusting way, but I've said stuff. I was a baseball player. What baseball players do, talk about the girls in the stands and this and that. You're young. You're stupid. You're naive. Would I do it now? Absolutely not, because I have a beautiful young daughter, and God forbid, I don't even want to think what I would do if somebody did anything to her. I'm not even gonna go into that imagery of it gives me goosebumps. But when we talk about sexual harassment,
would you feel that way?
What was that, hon?
Let's make believe you didn't have a daughter. Would you feel that way still?
Yes, as an older man, yes, I really would. I wouldn't think, when you have a daughter, you just think of her right away. Like I couldn't date a girl that's 22, 23 years old. I just couldn't do it because I'm thinking of my daughter. But I never had that sexual intent, that visual towards women in that manner. I have tons of respect for women. It's just the type of person I am, the way I was raised. But, we're talking about women now. How about pedophilia?
Oh, that's another situation.
Is that disgusting?
Can I chime in on that one?
You certainly can.
Well, as a child, I was sexually molested.
When you say as a child, how old were you?
Wow. I was 5 or 6 years old.
Are you kidding me?
And I swear on my life.
Oh, my God.
I had felt that I had no other choice. They scare you. They tell you, first thing it starts out as a game. I'm only going to speak out for myself. So everything is going to be in a general manner, but I'm speaking about myself and only myself. It started out as a game. This is a game that little girls play. And then you play the game because you're so small and so young, and finally, you get to play a game. So let's play a game. And then after you play this game, after quite a few times of playing this game, you're like, wait a minute, something's off here. Like, I don't play this game with anybody else but this particular person. And it's so weird that I was 5, and as a matter of fact, it went on for quite a few years. And it went on for like 4 or 5 years. And the sad part is that I was the one that stopped it. And I say sad because now it was going towards my sister. She was more developed than I was. And I was always a very big protector of my sister, and she's older than me.
Correct.
So when I noticed what was going on, I'm like, oh, hold on. This is going to stop, and it's going to stop right here, right now. I took actions into my own hands. I'm not going to say how I did it, but I took actions into my own hands, and that was the last day it ever happened.
So
I was 9 years
how
old.
long did this go on?
I was 9 years old when I made it stop.
And you were 5 when it started?
Correct.
Oh, this is disturbing. I never knew this about you, Nicole.
So check this. I know you don't. Check this out.
Wow.
Now, when I get smacked on my behind a few years later in school, you kind of get brought back into that little hole. If I may say, give you an image in your head.
Yeah.
It's like you're in the fetal position. In your mind, you could be standing, you could be walking, talking, but in your mind, you're in the fetal position and you have zero control.
Correct.
So when I got slapped in my behind, I slapped the guy back because it was a knee-jerk reaction. Correct. When I went home that day and I bawled, I went back in my mind. I was in a fetal position, scared in a little corner, terrified of, oh my God, what did I do? What if he comes back and does the same thing again? What if he finds me walking in the stairs by myself? Like, I was terrified.
I can only
Thank
imagine.
God time passed and he never did it again, but
I can only imagine.
Pedophilia is a scary thing. Child molestation is another thing. Pedophilia and child molestation, those are different things. And it's more hurtful when you know the person. Yeah. Because you already trust the person. Yeah. And the person that's doing it, the perpetrator, knows you trust them. So they take that trust and they bend it in any way, shape, or form they possibly can to their benefit. Wow. And now, 4 years later, I'm in a mental state of I'm not pretty enough, I'm not nice enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. I'll be honest with you, when I was young, I was a little promiscuous because I thought that was the way to be. I'm not going to lie about it.
And
I enjoyed myself.
I can see the relation to that. I can see the relationship because it's almost like you this was going on with you and it almost became like a norm in a scary way. Like, I guess,
like that's the only way
that's the only way to do it.
Yes.
Now, how did that affect your relationship with men?
Oh my God. You're awesome. By the way, Vinny, I love your show, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You are asking amazing questions
now.
Thank you.
It. Well, I have to. We have to, there's people out there going through what you're going through. Their kids are going through what you're going through. We got to get this out there. We got to get these monsters off the streets, for one.
Well, the way to get these, so let's go back a little bit. How did I feel? Years later, I got married. Let me bring before the marriage. I've had the worst relationships, very physical, mental, emotional, and it's all abusive. Correct. Very bad relationships. And then when you finally meet someone that is good and sweet and kind, you become the perp now. You have the upper hand. You're nasty. You're rude. You're mean. You're aggressive. You see the power that was above you, and you use that against the other person that did nothing to you. Right. I am a mother of 2 girls. One is 17. One is 14. And still to this day, if you're walking around in the house with your little night dress, if you do not have a pair of pants or a pair of shorts under there, you're going to be in trouble, young lady. My girls already know. There is things that you do and there's things that you don't do. And it's not that you're doing anything that's calling for someone to disrespect you or treat you in that kind of sexual manner. Correct. But because there are nasty pigs out there, you have to be very cautious and very careful of what you say and how you say it.
Correct. Absolutely.
And mindfulness is key. Like, for example, here in New York City, I remember going to work and there was this man sitting right there in the stoop in the subway system. And as he's sitting on this seat, he looks at me. I look at him and I just walk away because he was a homeless man. Mm-hmm. He gets real close to me and I'm like, oh my God, I'm only thinking about this guy smells really bad. I'm not thinking about what he's going to do because I didn't think anything of it. Correct. Again, I was very young and naive. Yeah. He says, can I have your lipstick on my dipstick?
Jesus Christ.
Like, what?
Oh my God.
I was 18 years old.
Wow.
This is the little things, and I was terrified. I'm like, what? I made him repeat himself because I could not believe what he said.
What's unfortunate?
I paid for the subway, ran downstairs because I was terrified. I'm like, at least there's people downstairs. I'm not by myself. Correct. Thank goodness there was police officers there, and now I found my voice. I said, there's a man up there that just said this to me. I don't know what he will do next time to the next person or even to myself. Yeah. They arrested him. A few years later, I saw that man on the news, how he was raping a few girls on the train system. Yeah, so it's just, it doesn't stop. And that's another thing. If we're really going to talk about it, what about the judicial system? How they put a slap on the wrist of these people? Oh, well, or the churches. Yeah. Oh, it's because he was curious and all this other stuff if they're sexually harassing boys and little girls. Come on.
The judicial system has to strengthen. Yeah, they have to strengthen up on this. It's almost like,
totally.
We've been there, innocent to proven guilty, but there's just certain things where you just can't relay that to, and a church, I love, to each his own. I'm not a religious man. I believe in God. But to say that God will forgive them, so should we, that's a tough one to swallow. Because God forbid, like I said, something like that happens to my daughter, and God, I don't even want to think about it. There's no church, there's no judicial system that would stop me from doing what I'm going to do.
I hear that.
The only person that the judicial system is going to arrest is going to be me. Because there's just no forgiving. And I must say, I don't want to sound violent, but this is disgusting, disturbing, But you know what, Nicole? I want to thank you for sharing your story with us. You make a difference. Your experiences made you the strong, independent woman you are. You might not know that because you're so humble, but I commend you. And to me, you're like that spokesperson. I just found out things from you that I didn't know. I know you've been sexually harassed, but now you went to a different league. This is something that, considering the person you are today, you're still a little nuts. But in a good way, you're amazing, and I will use you as an example for those out there who are afraid to speak up because they need to speak up, we got to get these savages off the streets before we have a purge of guys like me going around just taking them out. God forbid. But we can have them.
It's not only women that are getting abused too. Let's be honest.
No, it's everyone, man. You know, the gay community. You know, we've heard Hollywood, what's going on with that. You know, it's just young men.
Look at Terry Crews. Terry Crews is not gay, the actor.
No, but he spoke up, and he's a tough dude. I don't know if that's the type of guy you want to grope on, you know. But they use their power. Like, what are you gonna do? I'll take you out the movie business. So you feel defenses. He came out. Applaud for Terry Crews. But now that we're talking about Hollywood, you know, before you go, because I know you got to go, I want to touch on something with you. You know, you and I have discussed this several times, and that's about, you know, the controversy of a Latinos discrimination in Hollywood. Let me give you my take, then you give me yours, okay? You know, I personally feel we've come a long way. You know, I feel being Latino is the thing now in Hollywood. You know, we no longer have to relinquish our birth names to make them sound more American, you know? We have Latinas making an enormous amount of money in successful TV shows and film. You got Sofia Vergara, you know, J-Lo, Zoe Saldana, Gina Rodriguez. But then again, the whispers of Hollywood not being diverse enough leaves me quite curious as to why some actors, you know, feel this way. Maybe you can help me understand this because I feel differently. I really do.
Well, my take is very simple. We are not out there as much as we can. When we have Jennifer Lopez playing an Italian woman, when we have Zoe Saldana playing a black woman, no, that's not anything. That's nothing. Can we play ourselves? Can we play our own people? Can we be who we really are? Yes, they are out there, but it's not as much as it should be. We are not out there as far as we can. When we go from a name of Emilio Estevez into Charlie Sheen simply because nobody wanted to give him a job, that says a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, I'm sorry, not Charlie Sheen, Martin Sheen, the senior, the dad. You know what I mean? It's really sad that people, our people, Latinos altogether, I'm not just talking about Puerto Ricans, I'm talking about Latinos overall. We should not have to change our names, our looks, or anything to make somebody feel better just to tell their story. No. Because obviously you see something in me as a Latino, as an actor or actress that you need for your show, for your story to be told.
And you know what? I've had Caucasian actresses ask me, and this is unprecedented, would it make sense if they changed their stage names to a more Latina name to give them diversity? You never heard that before. So they feel, they feel like we're the thing now. But then you got the controversy, you know, with the brown Latinos calling the white Latinos who, to no fault of their own, they were born white with blue eyes, calling them fake Latinos. That's where we got to draw the line. If we're going to go up there and bash one another, it's just not going to work. You know, talk to God for making this person white and talented. You know, of course, that's just the nature of the beast. You know, you know, a dark Latina like Zoe Saldana cannot play a Jewish person or an Irish person. That's just how it is. You know, so you'll get somebody maybe like Sofia Vergara, even though she has let's omit her accent. She could probably play a different type of race. Because of the color of Cameron Diaz. She can play whatever she wants.
Oh, hello. She's played anything she wanted,
what I want everyone out there to know, and I get called, you know, like a house, you know, the word, what that is. I want everybody out there, let's go out there, stop looking for excuses, you know. Sometimes people just don't have the talent. Unfortunately, sometimes people just have limited talent that they got to deal with or they got to perfect. I'm a screenwriter, and I never write about, you know, Latinos killing, drugs. I write romance, sci-fi with Latinos in mind all the time. We can play lawyers. We can play presidents of the United States. Andy Garcia has done it. You know what I'm saying? But we got to refrain from all the nonsense and that they don't want us. Because let me tell you something. I know a lot of heavy hitters in Hollywood. And they've told me, Vinny, with all due respect, that doesn't affect us. What we do is we close the shades on them. But they hurt the ones that are trying to make it in the business. You know what I'm saying? Because they're established already. They're going to find work. But then what they're doing is hurting that Jose Rodriguez from the Bronx, who has tons of talent, but now Hollywood is skeptical to hire him because they're going to give him a shot and then he's going to go out there making noise if things don't go his way. You know, and we got to stop this. We got to stop this nonsense. I saw a magazine yesterday. I think it's called Resclala or whatever. I don't even care about it. They were trashing Jennifer Lopez. This is a Latino magazine. And if you look at all the comments, you know, her own people are bashing her, saying that she got her start on her back and her knees. Like, who does that? You know? Wow. It's disgusting and disturbing. And that's why at times I don't deal with my own kind. Because they the first backstabbers. They're good with you until you reach that second plateau and you transcend them. Then all of a sudden, you know, you forgot where you came from, all that nonsense. You know, like they don't want you to shine unless they shine with you, and that's got to stop. And I'm gonna tell them out there's tons of talented Latinos out there. But you know what? We got to put it out there. Let's be writers, producers. Like, being Latino is the thing now. And I get this from non-Latinos. All right? So let's stop complaining. Polanco from, Orange is the New Black. You got a nice little start there. You're doing well. Let's stop trashing the more established ones. And let's just put in more work. You might be out there with all the Hollywood, legends, Latino legends. But, complaining isn't getting you anywhere, okay? Because you can have it one day and the next day you don't, because I've seen it happen. They show love. We can't forget where we came from, but we must always remember who got us out of there too. That's the way I look at it, and that's my take. A lot of sense there. That's my take on it. Like, I support you, you support me. I can make it to the top. I would never forget Nicole Pacheco. You could make it to the top. You would never forget, because we were loyal to each other. Not always we surround ourselves with people like that, but it's a learning experience. You know what I'm saying? And what I say to those who have downplayed me, who have taken advantage of me, God bless you. Let's just hope karma doesn't get you. Is the way I look at it.
My favorite word, karma.
Because I don't want to wish harm on anybody, because that negative energy just surrounds me. And that's just how it is. But, I'm glad I was able to touch on both these subjects with you, and Nicole, this is your home. It's always a pleasure. Anything you ever want to talk about, you're so informative. I'm just trying to get you, to join the Trump campaign.
Listen, that is not happening.
It's taking some time.
The only time you're going to see me wear anything that says Trump on it is when his sorry behind is finally kicked out, and I'm going to have a teacher that said, I told you so. That's
but Nicole, before I let you go, you really want a Democrat up there that keeps everybody poor? That's what you want over there?
You know what I want up there?
What you want?
You really want to know what I want up there? I want someone in office that's going to look at things for what they are, not what they want it to be. I want someone that's going to run the country as a country and not a company, and think of all the different nationalities and people, male and female, that contribute to this country. That's what I want as a leader.
So do I. But you also want somebody that, even if you don't like what he says, he's forward and he's bold, because you understand where I stand. No, I'm seriously. Whatever. Because we've had presidents that are good looking with the suits, promise, nothing. And, that's all well and good. And look, I'm not demonizing all the Democrats. I'm talking mostly about the Washington Democrats. All they're doing is obstructing. And they have no palpable solution to anything. That's what I'm talking about. I was a Bill Clinton fan. I'm not going to lie, I was a Bill Clinton fan. I thought, don't impeach him for that. I was one of those saying that. I'm not a Hillary Clinton fan. You know what? I'm not a Hillary Clinton fan. I put up with Obama. There was a lot of stuff I didn't like, but I respect presidents. Trump is not perfect. You're right. He probably came in here thinking he could run the country like it does the Trump Corporation. Can't do it. You're just one part of the establishment. You can't do it. I feel growing pains. This year's been growing pains. He had a reality check, pretty much. I still feel he's trying hard. The GDP's up, unemployment down. I'm with it. That's what I voted for. I don't care about that other stuff. I voted for that. He could get a little crazy sometimes, but you know what? You know me, I'm a loyal guy. I just don't give up on people. Just because they have a little hiccup, and stuff like that. That's just not me. I'm not gonna jump on that bandwagon just to be part of it, but have no reason of why I'm part of it. You know, like some of the millennials, they're out there protesting. You ask them a question, they don't know nothing. I asked this one guy before I let you go. I said, let me ask you something. What was JFK assassinated? You know what he tells me? In his office.
No, come on.
But he's protesting.
What happened?
But he's protesting. And I say, you know what? My questions have just ended. In his office, for Christ's sake. But you know what? It's all fun and good. All I want us to do is get together, Nicole, and unite, compromise. You know, we're never going to be that unity country. We never have been. It's just more exploited now.
Right.
You know, we're always going to have, but we can't be fighting like this. We can't. We got to agree to disagree and just wish the man well. For those who are opposed to him, wish him well, because his failures, all our failures. You know, we still the United States of America. So, you know, we have him, hopefully another 4 years, 8 years, whatever he's up there for. And let's just work with it. And let's get people up there and let's work together. All I want is just to work together. That's all. I'm not asking for too much.
Creating my I Told You So t-shirt.
What happened?
Can we work together creating my I Told You So t-shirt? Again, thanks again, Vinny, for having me on your show.
Oh my God, it was a pleasure, boy. People are going to listen to this and they're going to say, they might use it. They might say, you see what she's saying? You know, they might use this excerpt and just, you know, it's not a book, but they might use your sound bites and just expose and let people know, you know, we can do it. Women, I'm all for women. I'm pro-women. I always say women is a stronger race, you know.
Well, I'm pro-human.
Yeah, I'm pro-human. I'm pro-human, but if you look at my Facebook yesterday, I said, you know what, we reached the 40s, you become sensitive. Like, I used to be this gangster from the South Bronx, thinking I was the toughest thing in the world, till I watch a commercial on TV and I start crying, you know? What the hell's going on here? But listen, God bless you, Nicole. I love you, and we'll talk soon. I'm going to bring you on. We're going to talk soon over here.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right, my dear. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Folks, and that's all the time we've had today. You know, I've ended it on a humorous note, but, you know, tons of touchy issues, sexual harassment, ladies. Don't let it happen. It starts with a simple word, like I said, like sweetheart. And it can end up in not such good things. You know, I sound like Trump there. Not such good things, like the big waters in the ocean. I love my Trump, though. That's my Trump, my brother. I don't give up on him. I know him. Let's make America great again. When I say make America great again, let's just unite. It has nothing to do with history. You know, I'm pro-human. You know, I'm pro-race, pro-gay. You know, pro-gender. Let's just get along, folks. Let's just get along. Let's stop smashing Keurig machines and yelling at the top of our lungs. Not healthy. Neither one. And remember, folks, I'm Vinny. These are my views.
Came from humble beginnings, the South Bronx, Vinny Cuevas, Puerto Rican descent with big dreams, a go-getter. Gotta know where you've been, so you know where you're going. Hustle hard is the motto, popularity's growing. He talk about them politics, healthcare issues, now we lit. Mets and Yankees, Nets and Knicks, Giants, Rangers, championships. Major views, conservative. Everybody got their own life to live. A closer look, like you're zooming in. I don't know about you, but I'll be tuning in to Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views, make sure you listening to Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views. Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views, make sure you listening to Vinny's views. Vinny's views, I'll be tuning into Vinny's views. Vinny's views.